closing in on a week away from draft night where all the mock drafts across all YouTube channels, including this one, they'll be thrown in the trash. Speculate no more because next week it's here. And the Vikings, with just 5 picks to work with, they have multiple options to consider. The first being trade up for a quarterback, which please don't, unless it's for Bryce Young if he happens to fall. And you know what? I'll even throw in CJ Stroud in that mix. I'm not a big fan of putting all your eggs in the basket that is an Ohio State quarterback, but to be fair, with Stroud, he was fantastic in that playoff game against Georgia, but I can't shake that Michigan game in Columbus. That aside, I understand the hoopla that surrounds CJ Stroud. He is incredibly accurate, and he did put up beastly numbers for the Buckeyes. I'm not 100% sold on him at the next level, but if the Vikings do end up trading for him, then okay, fine. Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, if Minnesota sells everything for one of these two guys, then all right, man, I'm just going to sit back and see how this all plays out because everybody's been shaking their asses for these two. Let's see if they live up to the hype. So option 1, trade up for a quarterback. Option 2, stand pat at 23, perhaps miss out altogether on the second round and maybe trade back from 87. Option 3, trade back, stay in the first, get a second. Option 4, trade back out of the first round entirely, double up in the second and do the bulk of your damage on day 2. Haven't talked about that possibility until now. Wouldn't necessarily hate it. Trading back in the first round, I always bring up Philly, Kansas City, 30-31. Is there really any justification to raise all holy hell if the Vikings decided to trade back between the range of 33 and 38 instead? No. In fact, there's plenty of talent expected between the second and third rounds. At defensive line, I've talked plenty of Siaka Ika, Keanu Benton, who I think is the best fit. But also, there's a chance to land Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. I don't think you can necessarily go wrong with either of those guys. In fact, I would take any one of them ahead of Brian Bresee, projected to be a first-round pick. And if you want to go linebacker in the second, you might have a shot at Jack Campbell from Iowa, edge B.J. Ojulari or Derek Hall, receiver Josh Downs or Cedric Tillman. You can trade out of the first round, get 2 seconds, and with pick 87, still have 3 immediate impact players with your first 3 picks as if they came from the first, second, and third round. And optimally speaking, in this scenario, option 4, my first 2 picks, if the cards fell in my favor, Keanu Benton and Cedric Tillman. Or, if you really want to go hard, Keanu Benton and Mozzie Smith. That interior defensive line is hurting. And if you really want to get this defense going, you need 3 legit dogs up front in a 3-4 base defense. And Dean Lowry as the third down lineman is just not going to cut it. Furthermore, if you feel as an organization that you can max out this year with Kirk Cousins, say you get to the Super Bowl, right? You're facing an AFC team. By the way, that conference is loaded with superstar quarterbacks. That defensive line has to be on point. And even in the NFC, until further notice, if you are going to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to go through either San Francisco or Philly in the NFC Championship game. Both teams, they have juggernauts in the trenches that are going to battle against your offensive line, and you need to ensure that you can do the same. Back-to-back picks for the D-line for 2 starters, I think it would really move the needle on the defensive side of the ball, is all I'm saying. Fernando Ortiz Robles says, trade him for a future first, damn it, talking about Danielle Hunter. Well, Fernando, in the master plan of getting a future first and using that to trade up next year for the first overall pick, Caleb Williams, as my sister-in-law says many times, I am going to will it to happen. Jeff Altier says, first and a third is tempting. I think if they can sign Hunter for a shorter term contract, say 2 to 3 years rather than 4 to 5, then you keep him. This one is very interesting to consider. Right? And you know what's interesting? Before doing yesterday's video, if you had asked me, what do you think the Vikings can get in return for 99? I would have said, off the top of my head, a second round pick at best. But then doing research, bumping into that Bradley Chubb deal, a first round pick, a fourth round pick, and Chase Edmonds, Oh, Daniil Hunter, this is easy. We'll start the talks at a first and a third round pick. I think Hunter's a better player. The path to Caleb Williams, this is the way. I'm all in, damn it. Let's make it happen. Lastly, Purple Pocket Podcast says, trade Hunter and move up to pick 3. By the way, folks, do yourselves a favor and subscribe to the Purple Pocket Podcast. Rap, he runs that YouTube channel, puts out some dope-ass content. Trade Hunter, move up to pick 3. I say, hell no. You're only saying that, Rap, because you want Anthony Richardson. We could not be further apart on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to AR-15. You want him, I want to wait 1 year and go after Caleb Williams.